Hello, and welcome to a special live episode of the Alex Nitzberg Show. I'm Alex Nitzberg, and this is my grandfather, Robert Epling.
Hello, it's good to be with you and good to be able to talk to you again.
So, if you've been watching the show long enough, then I did an episode with him a long time ago, last time I visited, but it's been a really long time, and it's good to have him back on the program. And so, normally I just run through a bunch of news topics and stuff, but instead of doing that today, I'm just going to kind of talk to him about just more, just like generic stuff, not going to go through specific news topics all the way through, although I do have maybe one item I'm going to get started with, which is you probably heard that former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, oh, and by the way, thank you for the thumbs up. I forgot to say, if you're enjoying these videos, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and follow me on X, the platform previously known as Twitter. So thank you to everybody who left a thumbs up. But yeah, Nancy Pelosi has announced that she is going to run for re-election. She's a former House Speaker. She has actually been in office for, I think it was like around 36 years so far. If she gets reelected in 2024, then she will have been in office. By the time she gets done with that next term, she will have been in office for just shy of 40 years. So that is some news that happened this week. And hello, Perseverance777 said, hello, happy to be here. Good to see you. I appreciate all of your nice comments all of the time, and appreciate you being here. So, all right, so anyway, let me go ahead and get started here. First of all, in case people didn't watch the last episode, you want to say something about what you do? Like, he's a pastor, you can talk about, who you are and stuff.
I'm an old pastor. I'm 91 now, been preaching 68 years. It's been one of the greatest trips, greatest journeys that any person could ever take. It's taken me to about 40 different countries. Sometimes many interesting things, sometimes just normal things, but it's good to be with Alex today, and we're going to enjoy just talking a little bit here.
All right, well, hello, Renita. Thank you for joining us. I saw you say good afternoon. All right, so let's start out. How do you feel about Nancy Pelosi? Do you want her to keep serving forever and ever?
Well, the thing I remember most about Nancy Pelosi is when she said, we've got to pass this bill before we read it to know what's in it. And I think that's a pretty good example of what kind of a politician she would be. Her home city of San Francisco, which I was in probably 75 years ago when I was in the service, beautiful city then, has deteriorated, gone down to the point where people are leaving by the thousands. Streets are crowded with the homeless. I wouldn't have much to say about voting her in.
Okay, well, check this out. I'm going to switch over to the to this here, because when she tweeted out, the tweet they have up here says, now more than ever, our city needs us to advance San Francisco values and further our recovery. Our country needs America to show the world, blah, blah. But anyway, it's like San Francisco values. Like, that is exactly what nobody needs. Nobody San Francisco values. But anyway, yeah.
When I was there so many years ago, San Francisco was a beautiful city then, but already starting to deteriorate. A young man in the service like myself would be propositioned 15, 20 times just walking around one block. You can imagine what it is today.
All right, so I told you. Also, Perseverance777 said, "Wow, look much younger. God bless you, sir." So hey.
Thank you.
So what I was going to ask you, I told him I was going to ask you about inflation. Like, everybody has been talking about inflation and stuff. It's been bad lately, and we were talking about how high groceries are and stuff. But because you're 91, you've seen 91 years. Well, I mean, you weren't paying attention when you were young, but you basically, 91 years worth of inflation. So how, not just like in the last few years, but like when you were younger, when you were in 20s and stuff, like how much was stuff back then compared to now?
When I was young, Alex, gas was 9 cents a gallon. When they had a gas war, it would drop down to 7 or 8. But even at 9 cents a gallon, you could take a $1 bill, go down to the gas station, and get 12 gallons of gas. So compare that with today. And then just 50 years ago, you could get a half-acre lot with a 12,000 square foot house, 3 bedrooms, ceramic tile bath, dining room, kitchen, living room, land and house, $9,000.
Yeah, we should mention it used to be in the house building business, right? So
Yes.
yeah.
That same house today costs you $189,000.
Yeah, and that's just one particular thing. I mean, you were talking about did you mention food? What else were we talking about? We talked about something
I
else.
used to, when I was a boy, I'd go with my mother to the grocery store, Albert's grocery store. We go down with a little red wagon behind us.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
Spend $5 and come back with 7, 8, 9 sacks of groceries. I went to the grocery store just a few weeks ago. Hadn't been to a grocery store for years. My wife does all of that. I got one little sack of groceries, $89. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Pull up to the gas pump now. It costs $100 and something to fill up my SUV. We're getting hit on food, on housing, on gas. Everything you buy costs a little bit more.
And Diane Uri said, "Thank you for sharing your grandfather with us." So you're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for coming on. And so since we've been talking about the inflation and stuff, and we're talking about earlier, are you super worried about the climate crisis? No, we're talking about earlier. It's like, I mean, I should say Biden, whoever runs Biden's Twitter account, because it's probably not Biden, but, they keep putting out stuff about the climate crisis this and the climate crisis that. And I've been writing back on Twitter, and I'm like, there is no climate crisis. There is no climate crisis. And those tweets actually a lot of time will get a lot of likes. My tweets, I mean, when saying there's no climate crisis. But so, yeah, like I've said, I think I probably said before, if you're a Christian, you don't worry about a climate crisis destroying the world, because that's not what the Bible says. It's not how the world's going to end. But we're talking about that, yeah. So, what are you going to take on this climate crisis?
In the 1960s, we were told by the government and by the scientists and by the climate czars that the world is going into an ice age. The Arctic is getting colder. The glaciers are moving further and further south. We better prepare ourselves and get ready for the big freeze that's coming. Those same people then, 20, 30 years later, start pushing climate change, and the earth is getting hotter. The seas are going to rise. The cities along the shorelines are going to be flooded, and the world's going to end in 10 years. Well, 30 or 40 more years have passed, and we're still here, and the climate's only changed about a half or maybe 1 degree, and it'll probably go down 1 or 1.5 degrees in the next 10 or 20 years. Man's not going to destroy God's creation. Only God will allow that to happen.
Yeah, and I talked about the Bible verse that talks about, and I may be messing this up, but something in one of the Peters about the elements melting with a fervent heat. And it's like, there's climate change I can believe in, but not this climate crisis that the Biden administration keeps warning about and stuff. And obviously there's a lot of ramifications. We're talking about high prices and stuff. When they push all the climate change alarmism stuff, then it causes prices of things to go up, because they're trying to, like, instead of drill baby drill, that was the thing before, they're doing stuff that ends up making things cost more and stuff. So, and like, I like electric cars. I actually would like a Tesla, but I don't necessarily want the government to be interfering in the free market, by like doing things like mandating ethanol and like, giving subsidies for electric cars or any of that kind of stuff. Like, I want there to be a free market, and if the electric cars survive, which I think they would survive on a free market because they're cool, they're really fast. I mean, some of those Teslas have really great acceleration. They're kind of nice cars to have, and people want them, not just because they're being green and stuff, but just because they're cool cars. So I'm happy with those cars. I would like one of those cars, but I don't want the government getting involved and trying to prop them up or help them and stuff like that. So, okay, so I wrote down on here as a question for you. Do you think the U.S. will still be around in 91 more years?
The U.S. will be, but I sure won't. 91 more years. Unless the Lord comes and he brings to end this creation as we know it and brings in the new heaven and the new earth, then it will still be here and people will still be fighting and arguing over some of the same problems. The elite, who feel they're much, much smarter than us, will get richer and richer, and they'll push more radical agendas. Like, it's hard to believe the world we're living in today, that men can have babies. My Bible said God made a male and female, not Adam and Eve, but not Steve and Eve, or Steve and Cleve. I'm like the old preacher. Somebody came to him and said, "We want to get married." He looked at him and he couldn't tell who was who, and he said, "Whichever one you are, you take whichever one you are to be whatever you're going to be." And I pronounce it, that's what it is. So it's just kind of a mess, the world we're living in.
So we're going to put this on the record for all time. You are saying that men cannot have babies.
Well, they never have been able to, so they never will be, no.
We're going to get a strike on YouTube now.
Oh, yes.
We're gonna get censored. My channel's gonna be. No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
All right. So, all right. What do we got here? Perseverance 777 is saying amen with an exclamation point. So,
thank you.
All right. Let's see. Do you have anything else to add before we shut this down here?
Well, just nice being able to chat with you a little bit today, Alex. And Alex is a little bit bigger man than I am. He's 6'1" or so. I used to be 6. The years have taken their toll, and a few injuries on the body have brought me down to about 5'10". So it's good to be on the air with a big man.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching this episode of the Alex Nitzberg Show. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Thank you to everybody who left a comment in the live chat, and you can leave a comment afterwards too if you would like. And you can join me next week at 3:30. Well, actually, I take that back. I think might be traveling. All right. Well, next week, hopefully on Saturday at some point, I'm going to put up a show. I don't think it's going to be at 3:30 because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be home by then. But sometime next week, I do them on Saturdays at 3:30 normally, so that's what I do. But thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your weekend, and thank you for joining me on this special episode with my grandfather, Robert Epling. I will see you next week sometime. Bye-bye.